Okay, I want to speak about the false myth, the false myths about similar languages. I have looked into it, and most of the languages are not. Most languages that are deemed to be similar are not so easy as people think they are. I even compare. I saw some videos about, for example, I'm learning Turkish and Azeri and other supposedly similar language like Finnish and Estonian. And the problem with similar languages is that very similar. They're not really two different languages. And if there are two different languages, are not that similar. I mean, let's speak out. I understand French, but I lived in France and I studied a lot French before. Now my French is quite rusty. But before studying French, French was a language that I could not understand. We can understand some words, and really. And I'm a native speaker of Italian. When it comes to Spanish and Portuguese, okay, Spanish, all things considered, is quite similar. Similar, it means that passively you understand the general meaning of what people are saying. You can understand whole phrases and then you can skip and don't understand a whole sentence. So, generally speaking, since most commonly used words tend to change more because they're used a lot, so wear and tear, the more you speak about politics, science, religion, history, geography, the more easy it is to understand. So many times we fall in the delusion, we get the delusion that, okay, I understand what they are saying in this documentary, I understand 80%, 70%, 80%, I understand and I know the language. No, there's a passive knowledge of the language. But when you get in a situation where native speakers speaking about common things, this talking like in real life, then these similarities get fade away. So I'd say other thing is it can be interesting from the point of view of noticing the difference in two languages that have the same origin. So it's more interesting from the scholarly point of view. But why spend time to learn a language that you already understand 60-70%? Wouldn't it be better to learn a completely new language? There is this idea, for example, Romanian is a Neo-Latin language, so no, we don't understand Romanians. Obviously, if you're exposed to the language, there is a basis of words you already know that can help you pick up the language, just listen to, and that's a head start. You can have that in French, more with Spanish or Portuguese, but all in a whole, these languages are not so similar as no native speaker of Latin languages, Neo-Latin languages think. Okay? For example, give an example. English is a Germanic language, in a way, like Romanian is a Germanic language. And I hope there is Okay, it's good. But these languages are extremely mixed. Romanian is full of words from Slavic languages, and English full of words from Latin languages, directly from Latin sometimes, with a different pronunciation, obviously, or from French or Old French. So when I hear other Germanic languages like German or Swedish or Dutch, Dutch is the easiest one for an English speaker. I don't understand, not even the general subject. Okay? So very few are I mean, there are cases that it's almost the same language with the same different names. Serbian, Croatian is the same language, and sometimes these languages are very similar, like Portuguese and Galician. But in these cases, just being exposed to the languages long enough, you can understand little by little, you can speak. What I strongly recommend is going the whole hog and embracing a completely different language, or a quite different language. I'll give an example. Many people think, oh, Russian is a completely different language, or German if I'm Italian, or French, but they are not completely different languages, because these are Indo-European languages. That means they share a general structure, and in spite of the changes in words, vocabulary, and pronunciation, phonetics, they are more similar, similar what we think they are. We study a known Indo-European language, for example, Turkish. I'm studying Turkish, very interesting. Japanese, Arabic, Chinese. I'm mentioning the most widely spoken or learned known Indo-European languages. We get in a completely different word, and obviously it will take more time to absorb the language, because you don't only have to change the sounds and the words, but you have to change the way you think of the language structure, with suffixes of it, a postposition rather than prepositions. It's but the way I see it is more interesting. So I strongly recommend, once in your life, if you're a speaker of an Indo-European language, and you should know which are the Indo-European languages, you should learn a language. In Europe, for example, non-Indo-European languages in the European continent is Basque. That is, what do you do? If you do just out of interest, okay, but bigger languages are Hungarian, Estonian, Finnish, and Turkish, that is considered an Asian language, but as there's a part of Turkey that is in Europe. I like Turkish because it's not very far from Italy. I studied Greek, so God damn it, I got an interest for Turkish, the Turkish language. It's widely spoken in Turkey, 80 million people, but there are similar languages that I could understand, as I said before. I'm not going to study, because, let's speak out, it's obvious that a native speaker will understand the other language better than me because I don't have a full even if I don't have a grasp of the Turkish language, still learning. But even if I learned the language up to a certain level, it's not my native language. So and when you learn two similar languages and neither of them is your native language, you get confused. Okay? So I never get confused if I study Spanish, or it's very difficult because I know what Italian is, but a non-native speaker of Italian and that learns Spanish and Italian ends up not knowing either of them. Goodbye.